A global tech outage is disrupting companies around the world, from airlines to broadcasters and banks. The US is issuing a ground stop on all its flights worldwide as delays hit Berlin and Amsterdam's Schiphol airport, among many others. In the UK, the London Stock Exchange was temporarily affected, along with the Sky News channel, which was unable to broadcast for several hours. Two hospitals in Germany have also cancelled non-emergency operations. And Kate Ferguson from DW Business has more, joins me now in the studio with, for more, I'm sorry, I mixed up my words there. Sorry, Kate. Kate, what do we know so far?
Well, we know these outages are happening around the world, that millions of people are affected. They're happening across different sectors, from aviation to media to banking. Flights across the world have been cancelled, leading to increasingly chaotic scenes at airports, as you mentioned. Other sectors too affected. Broadcasting, ABC Australia was down, Sky News in the UK as well. Healthcare affected as well. Hospitals here in Germany cancelling elective surgeries. In the UK, the National Health Service says booking systems there are down as well. Train systems in the UK were also down for a time, as was the London Stock Exchange. Now, one security consultant, a man called Troy Hunt, posted on X earlier. He called this the largest IT outage in history.
Let's get more from DW reporter Matthew Mannion, who I believe is on hand at Berlin's airport. Matthew, what have you been seeing so far?
Well, Birish, yeah, thank you. I was actually due to be a traveller here from Berlin Airport this morning. I arrived at the airport around 9 a.m. for my flight just after 11 to London, and lined up as everyone else did, just to take in my bag for the hold. And within a few minutes or so, we were hearing then announcements here at the airport that there was a technical issue that was affecting the check-in process, and for us just to wait, and there would be a delay. Later, we were then hearing that this technical issue was affecting flights, and that flights would be grounded until around 10 a.m. this morning. In the time since, my flight to London has now been cancelled, and I think a number of flights have been cancelled from here today. But looking around, I wouldn't say there's a sense of chaos. I wouldn't say there's a sense of general worry. There's lots of people obviously checking their phones, desperately trying to find out whether they can make their connections or book another flight if their flight's been cancelled. But generally, people are just trying to get on with the day today, and just trying to get to where they want to go. Certainly, there appears to be an emergency kind of operation that's been put into place here at the airport. I'm certainly seeing support staff going around now, handing out bottles of water to people who are still waiting in lines. And also, there was, for a while, a sense that there was a heightened police presence for a little while. We certainly have cleared vehicles outside Terminal 1 here still. But now, if I was to be honest, looking around, it just feels like a normal day at the airport, and people are just trying to find their way in this difficult situation.
Well, I hope you're on your way soon, Matthew. Thanks so much for that update from Berlin's airport. Kate, back to you. Do we know what's causing this outage?
We do now. This is linked to a company called CrowdStrike. It's a global security firm. They have just brought out a statement, and I'll read you a little bit of what they say. They said, CrowdStrike is actively working with customers impacted by a defect found in a single content update for Windows hosts. So to translate that maybe into plain English, what appears to have happened is that a CrowdStrike update went terribly wrong, and that this triggered so much disruption to Microsoft 365 services, which, as we can see, so much infrastructure around the world depends on. We've seen shares in CrowdStrike down significantly this morning. And as for when this might be fixed, some airlines are now reporting the problem has been resolved. But if you consider the ripple effects, it could be much longer term.
Let's get an update on those ripple effects from Delhi. But thanks so much, Kate, for joining us in the studio. Let's head to Delhi next, where DW's Shalu Yadav joins me with an update on the situation. Shalu, what is happening in India?
Well, in India, it's majorly the aviation sector that's been impacted, Birish. We called, just in the last hour, we called several government hospitals in Delhi, and they seem to be running smoothly, primarily because they don't depend on the Microsoft operating system. So the healthcare remains immune to this crisis, but the aviation sector, the details are still panning out, but the operations at Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore, the major airports have been severely impacted. We're hearing of flights being cancelled. as well as severe delays. Airlines have been telling their passengers to arrive at the airport much ahead of their departure time because they're having to manually check in their passengers, as well as issuing handwritten boarding passes. So you can imagine, there's a lot of frustration amongst the passengers at the airport, and many of them have been taken to social media to express that. Some of them have been sharing the picture of their handwritten boarding passes, making fun of the situation. Some are sort of like taking it in a light moment, but some are really frustrated because their plans have been cancelled. But some are also praising the Indian authorities, especially at the airport, for having a plan B and swiftly moving to the manual systems. But some are also saying that this is a time that we need to question our, the kind of trust and the power that's been vested in the American big tech companies. In fact, the former IT minister, Rajiv, has just spoken to the media, and he says that this is unprecedented, and there needs to be a conversation around the resilience of, these big tech companies. So this is a developing situation. But meanwhile, Indian government has also reacted and said that they are in touch with Microsoft themselves, and the reason has just been identified, as Kate said in the live ahead of me. And the Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, CERT as they call it here, has rated the severity of this incident as critical, Viresh.
We'll leave it there for the moment, but thanks very much for that update from Delhi. DW reporter Shalu Yadav.